So you have quite an impressive resume. I know because you had described this. So we listened to your interview with Cenk Uygur on
Yes.
TYT, and it's rather impressive. I mean, you went through what is it? A DJ, a bouncer. You were, you're also a teacher, or like describe
Yeah.
what is it that you've done in the past because it's quite a vast amount.
Yeah, yeah, it is quite a vast amount. It's I was actually thinking about this the other day before I actually started telling you a lot of the different jobs I've done. It almost feels as if though when some people talk about fate, it almost feels as if though my entire life I've been criticized, told of what I was doing was wrong, but I went from job to job to job to job because I wanted to experience as much as possible. And I wanted to be able to understand where people are coming from, and I'm also not afraid to tell a boss to go fuck himself. So
Of course.
if they're not treating me right, if they're not treating my coworkers right, I'll leave because my coworkers are getting treated right, even if I am. So it almost feels like fate that I've reached this point to where I'm running for Congress because I get this feeling it gives me the ability to really relate to all the people I hope to represent. And so I've done things like early in life, I was a baseball umpire and I did newspaper route for a very short time. I even did some picking up trash on the side of the highway with the Department of Transportation. And then as I moved on, I was a bouncer at nightclubs. And then, I like the guy who checks the IDs at the door. I was a janitor at the nightclubs. I eventually became a DJ, a bartender, a nightclub manager. I was a computer hardware, computer software technician. I have done graphic design work. I've done promotions for nightclubs, promotions for special events, DJ'd weddings, DJ'd karaoke, DJ'd strip clubs. That's right, gentlemen. Hope you're having a wonderful time
Ooh,
out there. We're going to have
yeah,
Sapphire
yeah, I
coming
love
up that
it.
center stage. But and then later in life, things transitioned wildly. I became a bodyguard. I've done cage fighting. I have done cage fight announcements. I have. I went through one day and I didn't even get all of them. I met a body piercer. I was a body piercer for 3 years. And a lot of people start to ask her, just like, "Oh, how did you do all these things?" And I said, "Well, one, I'm 42 years old, but two, I had three jobs that were kind of my primary jobs. I've been a DJ for 23, almost 24 years. I still am a DJ today. I still get requested to come out and do special events. I was a teacher for almost 10 years. I taught in Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia. I taught at Arizona State University, Ohio State University, and then a couple of smaller colleges in Ohio.
Hmm.
Um, and what else have I done? Oh, and this might come up in conversation later. I actually worked for Uber Advanced Technology Groups. I actually rode around and did the testing in the self-driving Ubers in Arizona.
Wow. So you got an update on that from way before the people started really, I mean, realizing that this was going to become a thing in our,
Oh yeah.
technological society. So
Yeah,
that's
that's really cool. Like,
absolutely.
wow.
So yeah, and doing all of these different jobs I mean, that is a vast amount of experience and
Thank you.
various amounts of fields. And I think, and this is my belief, a lot of politicians who they're career politicians. They go to school, they go to Harvard, and they get these degrees, political science degree, business degrees, and they're just not normal people.
Yeah.
Like they don't have no like attachment to reality. It's just they go to the school, boom, they get a job. Probably somebody in their family hooked them up, and here they are, and they're writing laws, and they have no idea what's happening. I mean, I think being able to have experience in real life jobs as you do, I think that is something. I think that's something a lot of politicians, at least now, at least maybe for those like the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, of course, like AOC used to be a bartender and et cetera. I
Yep.
think that's what we're beginning to see, and with your life experience, that I think that's like refreshing. I think that's rather
Well, can
refreshing.
can I buttress off what you're saying at the very end there? And that is, from what I was told growing up, what I learned in my history classes, in my oh god, not ethics. What's the word I'm looking for? Civics classes and social studies was back in the day, being a representative, it wasn't this prestigious job that everyone wanted. Most of the people didn't even want the job because what it would mean is you have to go travel for a month or 2 months just to get to Capitol Hill in order to represent or take the vote of your constituency, your neighborhood, your state, your locality to Capitol Hill. But now, of course, with technology the way it is, it's what, a 2 hour flight, at most a 5 hour flight for people to get to Capitol Hill. And so now it's become a career, a job. And that whole idea that being a representative as a career disgusts me. It turns my stomach. And I have a lot of stomach to turn. So with that in mind, yeah. So with that in mind, I think that the reemergence of progressives, because progressives used to exist in America, but the reemergence of progressives is truly telling how out of touch those people who claim to represent us are. They do go to these prestigious schools. They do get the jobs from their daddies and their mommies. They are they're privileged, and they sit there and they're just like, well, why can't you just go out and buy a $10,000 car if you wrecked yours? Why can't you just go stay in the hotel for $500 a night? Why can't you get that $300 haircut? And when they went after AOC over an $80 haircut, I'm like, my sister pays 60 to 80 bucks, and she's an accountant at a university. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's absolutely absurd. So I'm sorry, I kind of I trailed off there.
One question I really want to ask, and I'm really curious. When we watched your other interview, you said you worked for the DOT. So, what work did you do for the DOT, and did that lead you to go to truck driving?
No, 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 not at all. Actually, the DOT job, and I'm glad that you asked that, because when I do say it, it was literally a part-time job for me to pick up extra cash as a teenager. That's all it was.
Okay.
So it, for me, it was like one of my first, I guess, bits of responsibility in my late teenage years. You know, you go out, all right, you're going to go out and make some money, and that way you earn your money. Okay, well, great. So I went and did that. Now, how I got into trucking was actually an act of desperation.
Yeah, I think that's for a lot of people as well. I never thought I was going to be a truck driver. And when I did get into truck driving, I think I can sympathize for those who do and they believe this, that, oh, I'm just going to get in and just be like a local driver, and then you get into school and you realize, oh, wait, I need to be over the road for a month.
Yeah, because
So,
Yeah,
nobody will hire you because you don't have any experience. The
yeah,
only ones
that's
that
right.
hire are the big companies, and you learn as you go. You get screwed over right off the bat.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a thing like that. It's just so hard for those two people to get in, which is why, when they say, well, we need new truck drivers, we need new truck drivers. Well, I mean, if you just made CDL school more affordable, maybe you would have more truck drivers, but you have to break an arm and a leg just in order to
Yeah.
get a CDL.
I will say this: I believe some of them are overpriced, but then again, there are a few. Yeah, sorry. So some of the schools I think are way overpriced, and then there's some other schools that are like just barely budgeting, where they're
Yeah.
making a small profit. But I mean, you got to think of how many kids come through there, and they still have to keep their trucks up to DOT standards as well. They can't just let us drive and go take tests in them in pieces of crap. They got to keep them all up to date, and that takes a lot of money.
Yeah, but then, and the way I feel about that is like that could easily be subsidized. And I don't feel like they're
Oh,
subsidizing truck
yeah.
driving training at all. And they make these claims,
Well,
it's like, honestly, like you see more subsidization for corporations and these major carriers than
of
you do for
course.
people trying to get into the trucks in the fucking first place. But yeah,
Well,
as a matter of desperation, for me, I don't know about you, but it's like I never thought I was going to be a truck driver. I was getting evicted out of my apartment. And I was working at a Steak and Shake as a dishwasher at the time, and I had my
mm,
family and my girlfriend that's she's like, yeah, you need to do something, and that's just like, well, I mean, there's a plethora of jobs available for truck driving, so
yeah.
yeah, that
Well, with a lot of these companies, they they get the subsidies, these large corporations. I mean, most of us on the left, if not every single person on the left, understands that it is capitalism for the poor, socialism for the rich. That's really what it boils down to, because the corporations, these mega companies, even some of just like the regular large companies, when they ask for subsidies, when they ask for handouts or bailouts, they seem to always get those. But when people are sitting there going, like a regular working person's like, hey, can you help me just a little bit? It's a bigger struggle for anyone to get a handout or a hand at all. And so when I listen to somebody like Bernie Sanders say, we bailed out the corporations in 2009. Why the hell can't they bail us out now?
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have much of an incentive. I mean, being able to boost their stocks enough to where they look like they're profitable.
I disagree with what you just said there? That they wouldn't find it profitable. They wouldn't find it immediately profitable. But any company should be able to look at the bigger picture and see the longitudinal scale, the greater timeline, because when you give people the ability to have money in their hands, people like you, people like me, we spend it. We spend it almost right away. And you have to think of the economy like a human body. You have the different parts that all do different things, and what flows through the body is what keeps everything alive. It keeps it going, and that is the blood. The money is the blood of an economy. And with that flowing through on the various different parts, now, do certain parts need more blood than other parts? Sure. Do certain parts need blood at certain times more than others? Your hand is right in front of us. Oh, wait, people can't see what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, two different cameras going on.
Right. I'm sorry.
You're on this laptop. We got your sources on that laptop. So if people
Right
are wondering why
on.
we're staring at this, that's why.
Right on. Well, if you guys want to look at the other camera, I'll know where you guys are actually at. But
yeah, he's gonna be just staring at me.
Everyone's just like, what is to the left of them right now?
There's a clown over there. So.
Yeah. But so it's super important to keep in mind that we keep money flowing through an economy. So if we let it collect in one space or in one area for far too long, you start to get blood clots. You start to get swollen blood vessels. You start to get wounds where the blood is gushing out. And when you neglect other parts of your body, when you neglect other parts of your economy, it starts to rot. It starts to die. It starts to go into atrophy. And with that, when that happens, and then the other parts of the economy are just like, well, why aren't you picking yourself up by the bootstraps? Motherfucker, there's no boots. There's no straps. I don't even have socks. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, me being able to do anything. So what we need to do is make sure that not all the money is concentrating in one area.
And this is similar to what happened in the early 20s, 1920s and 30s. We had an increase in unions. We had the Great Depression that had happened in the late 1920s, and so there obviously there's huge influx. And of course, FDR was kind of forced to enact the New Deal and all that, because there's only so much that capitalism can necessarily do. But right. I think under a certain amount of pressure, it doesn't have a choice. So, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that you said there. I think on the other side of that coin, they will try to escape doing that by all means. So I think this could be a way of reinvigorating the economy, bringing, giving workers more incentive to spend more and all that, more consumer products bought and all that stuff. But that's something that capitalism is forced to do, not necessarily something that really can do at an extensive amount of time. So, I mean, I would say it's like as a Marxist analysis of that, it's like, well, that is true. And I agree with everything that you said. But I think at the same time, they will, as soon as, we have enough money, if they were forced to do that, like we're going to just setting things on fire, like we're going to join unions and we're going to have a revolution. Like, okay. You get Bernie Sanders in there, or maybe even Warren, I don't know. And it's like, well, do this, or, this is it for you. You're forced, so you hand it over, do that redistribution.
Well, that's exactly what FDR had to deal with.
Exactly. You have the communists, the socialists, the trade unions got together. And so I think that probably could happen again. So it'd be a repeat of history, but we need to learn from that history, because we had Thatcher and Reagan. when we had the new Democrats happened. So, I think getting money out of politics, I agree with that. On my side, I believe that we need to go further than that. And and this is why I like your platform. And I'd like to get to your policies, but you have a particular policy that I was rather impressed with. You have a worker co-op policy.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. And you have describe Democracy at Work, Richard D. Wolf, Professor Richard Wolf, inspiration
That's
from
right.
there. I think this is what we need. If we're going to go farther with this economy, we're going to make sure if we're going to move in a more, a democratic system like within our economy, not just the political system, because you need it in the economy if anything is going to get done, because otherwise
Right.
it's just going to be a reverse right over again. And I think that's something a lot of liberals are missing.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to support our channel. Take her easy, comrades.